Week for us. It returns tonight. This area's gotten a little bigger. A few more states now could be impacted.
Yeah, we're seeing a wider expanse now, especially on the southern edge, places from Dallas to the western part of Mississippi, as well as to the north. Yesterday, that threat was only into the central part of Missouri. Now, much farther north, that we're seeing that extension of that low and the moisture stream coming up to meet it. All behind the warm front and in front of this dry line is the area we're watching for those strong storms. Early on, we could see some supercells breaking out here along the dry line and moving into the moist air. So that could be a big threat for hail, as well as those winds, heavy rain, and tornadoes. Later on in the day, we'll see the cold front catch up to things, and it might be more of a line of storms, damaging winds, but we've got a lot of support here in terms of wind shear. So we definitely have the factors in play for some discrete supercells, which would fuel our tornado threat. And you can see the strong winds here. Notice the orange colors show you the surface winds. They're heading from south to north, but up above, 5,000 feet above the surface, the winds are coming out of the southwest. So there's that shear, right? That turning of wind in the atmosphere.
A lot of times, and this would be considered low-level shear.
Yes.
If you get low-level shear, say you're lacking maybe some instability in the atmosphere, you can overcome that instability with a little bit of low-level shear.
That's right, and we've seen it so many times this year. We talked about how we were delayed in our severe because the instability was lacking, but the shear was so high.
And next thing you know, we had spin-ups, left and right.
Yes.
All right, Friday, this is the area that's most likely through the Arklatex up toward Kansas City. Beyond tornadoes, you think we could have a lot of hail too?
Yes, I do think that the corridor for hail is going to be Texas north. We could see some where the cold air moves in at upper levels. That's the area for hail, but still can't rule out the possibility here, Mike. And of course, it continues onto the next day.
All right, a couple of threats that we're going to talk about, that's for sure. Let's talk a little bit. Creeks and streams are going to come bankful. Urban flooding will be an issue as well with this storm system.
Yeah, and it's not going to take a whole lot of rain this time with this system. We've talked a lot about the frequency of the flooding that we've seen in some of these areas. This map looks like it keeps repeating itself with that heavy axis of rainfall here from Louisiana up towards Kentucky, even Ohio, potentially 2 to 3 inches in these areas and 3 to 5 in others. One thunderstorm might be enough to produce flooding at this point. We only need about an inch and a half of rain in a lot of these areas to cause flooding. And if you look at the numbers here, we're having some of our wettest or top wettest year-to-date rainfalls, which is showing you these grounds are soggy. They're saturated. They've had so many different kinds of storms bring in that rainfall. And now we're seeing these areas highlighted in the green as, take this as we don't need more rain here. This is any more rain here would actually be detrimental. Yeah, and for some of these folks, it won't be the first time they've flooded this year. It might be the second or third time they flooded this year. Become very exhausting for them. All right, Dr. Navarro, thank you for that update. And still to come in.